Hi, I'd like to talk today about synchronicity. Synchronicity is such a magical thing. They're little God winks. They let you know that you're on track, or it's kind of synchronicities are coincidences, and they're really, really fun. And so I've had lots of synchronicities in my life, and usually they conspire to bring something good to your life or something funny or fun, because sometimes they're just fun to bear witness to and to laugh at. Isn't that amazing? I can't believe that even happened. So, one example of a synchronicity that was kind of mind blowing for me was years ago. A couple of my best girlfriends and I had decided that we wanted to hike down into the Grand Canyon and have a big backpacking trip. The most remote Native American reservation in the country is the Havasupai Reservation that's in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And they have a little motel there. And we knew that we wanted to try to stay there. And so for 6 weeks, several times a week, my girlfriend would call to see if she could make us a reservation to stay there. And nobody ever answered. Every single time she called, didn't matter what time of day, no one ever answered. And finally, one day she called and somebody finally answered. And she said, I would like to make reservations for these 3 days. And the woman said, it's really interesting that you would call right now because we have been booked for months and months and months. And the call before yours was a call to cancel the reservation. So I just happened to have a room available for you during that period of time. So that was fine and dandy. That was wonderful in its own right. And so we went to Arizona and we hiked down into the Grand Canyon, which was amazing to see the last running mule train in the country that still carries mail to the bottom of the canyon to the Havasupai. And so we get into town, we check into the motel, we head out the next morning to hike and to see a series of waterfalls that are just amazingly gorgeous. And so we're coming back. It's been a long day of hiking, and as we get closer, we notice the stream of people coming in, all kinds of people. There's Native American people, there's people from other countries, there's people dressed in different garb and regalia, and lots of campers. And we're wondering, what the heck's going on that all these people are streaming in all of a sudden? So that we get back to town and we get something to eat, and the town is absolutely full of people. There's hustling and bustling everywhere. And so we eat dinner, and while we're eating dinner, we ask where all the people are coming from. Well, it just so happens that the reason that they had been so booked for so long was it was the 25th anniversary of the longest walk that Native Americans did from Alcatraz to Washington, D.C., as a protest for Native American rights. And it just so happened that this was the anniversary, and people from all over the world had come to join the walk. And it just so happened that this was their stop, the Havasupai Reservation. And so the town had been readying themselves for months to get ready to receive all these international guests. And we just happened to be there. So that night, we found ourselves sitting on a basketball court in the bottom of the Grand Canyon with the sun setting over the rim and the pinkish purplish skies and the rim of the canyon black. And we sat there and we watched the Native American dancers, the jingle dancers, come out to entertain the guests. And the chief came out in regalia to welcome the guest, and there were speeches. And it was one of the most fascinating situations that I could ever find myself in. And had it not been for that synchronicity, we didn't even know that it was going on. And so we just happened to be there at the right time to have this once in a lifetime experience. So that's an example of synchronicity and coincidence. Other examples of synchronicity might be, I have a girlfriend that has wanted to set herself up on the platform Kajabi, and she was struggling a little bit with it. And so one day she just popped into a coffee shop, and there happened to be somebody that was wearing a Kajabi t-shirt. And so they got to talking. And so now she has that person as a support system in her back pocket. So it doesn't get much better than that. A funny synchronicity, a funny coincidence was years ago when I was on vacation with my family. Um, my husband had seen a rat scurry across the ground. And later on, he was telling my daughter, I don't remember why, but he was telling my daughter about this rat that he saw that ran, right in front of him. And lo and behold, as soon as he said it, a rat ran right in front of them. And she couldn't believe it. She thought that he was teasing her, but he told her that before it ever happened. So, synchronicities, coincidences, oftentimes they work for your highest, and oftentimes it's kind of an alignment that helps you out or just gives you a little God wink to let you know, hey, you got this. Another one that's happened recently was, um, my friend Angel and I were recording our Chicks Talking Shift video podcast. And she always drinks yogi tea. She loves yogi tea. And so always before we do our podcast, we say a prayer. And so before this podcast, we had said a prayer, and during the podcast, she went to take a drink of her tea, and I saw that it was a yogi tea tag that was hanging out. And I'm like, oh, those have those sayings on the back of them. What does yours say? Well, when she read it, it was exactly what we had just said in our prayer. As a matter of fact, she'd kind of messed up and started giggling in the middle of the prayer. And it kind of had me, she couldn't pull herself together. So I said, oh, just sit back, let me do this. There's something that I want to say. And the words that came out of my mouth were the words that were on the yogi tea tag. And so we just laughed and laughed. That's in our integration video for anybody that might want to look it up. And there's timestamps on those videos. So you can just scroll down the timestamps and you'll see, so that you could watch that synchronicity if you wanted to do it. So I just tell you, because synchronicities are fun, coincidences are fun. I look at them as little God winks. And so I just wanted to encourage you to watch for those synchronicities in your life, watch for those coincidences, and just know that oftentimes it's just a little, hey, I got your back, or just watch, there's something fun coming that is for your benefit. So I hope that you'll do that. And I hope that you'll watch for them and that you'll find more than you really realized before. Because from my perspective, they're magic. This has been a sage inspiration from askalecia.com to help you become more aware of what might be going on in your life. Have a great day.